Seriously, guys, how is special counsel Jack Smith still standing against former President Donald Trump? Just recently, Trump's legal team filed a motion arguing that Jack Smith was improperly appointed to the position and that he lacks the authority to prosecute this action. Beyond that, the special counsel also suffered a setback in their case against Donald Trump in the form of a former valet going public about his cooperation with authorities. Brian Butler, he decided to do a CNN interview about Trump's alleged hiding of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. Now, this is pretty problematic for Smith for two reasons. One, until now, Smith had identified Butler only as Trump Employee 5 in court documents so that Trump supporters would not uncover his true identity. Two, as fellow lawyer Neal Rami put it, Butler's public statements may be an assistance to Trump's lawyers in the sense that if you're the prosecution, you generally don't want cooperating witnesses to give statements before the trial, because it gives the defense a preview of their testimony and they may say something inconsistent on the witness stand. Like you guys have been saying in the comments, they just keep lining it up and Trump just keeps hitting them out of the park. Time is on Trump's side too. Jonathan Turley, a practicing criminal defense attorney and professor at George Washington University, he says that the runway for Jack Smith just got a whole lot shorter with the Supreme Court granting the review of Trump's claims of presidential immunity. Meanwhile, some legal experts question the likelihood of success in Trump's arguments. They say that the High Court's review, it sets back Smith's timeline to start a trial before an election, and it begs the question whether Attorney General Merrick Garland would or should approve going to trial just before the general election in November. So Jonathan Turley, he also added that if the trial is after the election, there might not be a trial. But what do you guys think? Does Jack Smith's prosecution stand a chance against Trump's legal team? Let's find out in today's video. So another approach from Trump's lawyers is just holding Jack Smith in contempt. I mean, they could seriously do it. Check this out.
Meantime, the court battle over Trump's election tampering case taking another ugly turn. Lawyers for the former president are asking a federal district court to hold special prosecutor Jack Smith in contempt. Trump's lawyers claim that Smith and his team ignored a judge's ruling and continued to file briefs in the case. They want the case to be put on hold while his legal team gets a ruling on its presidential immunity defense.
Some even said that Jack Smith needs to be charged with malicious prosecution. People say it's obvious that this is a kangaroo prosecution and that the American people are with Trump. Are you with Trump? Let me know in the comments down below. So Trump's legal team is pulling out all the stops to get the federal case against him dismissed. He's facing a whopping 40 charges for allegedly hanging on to classified materials after his presidency ended in January of 2021, and for supposedly getting in the way of efforts to get those materials back. Trump has firmly said that he didn't do anything wrong. His lawyers are throwing a few arguments out there, including a rather bold one, claiming Donald Trump has absolute immunity. They're also leaning on the Presidential Records Act, suggesting that Donald Trump has the right to take those sensitive materials with him as personal records, thanks to his own declaration of them being his personal records during his time as president. One of the filings also argued that Attorney General Merrick Garland's appointment of Smith in November 2022 was unlawful as it was not first approved by the Senate. According to Trump's team, that's a big no-no according to the Appointments Clause and the Appropriations Clause. They're pretty much saying that Smith shouldn't be allowed to even touch this case. As they said in their motion, the Appointments Clause does not permit the Attorney General to appoint, without Senate confirmation, a private citizen and like-minded political ally to wield the prosecutorial power of the United States. As such, Jack Smith lacks the authority to prosecute this action. They're even quoting a very specific plea to the Supreme Court, backed by a team of legal scholars and former President Ronald Reagan's Attorney General, saying Jack Smith was a private citizen who was not authorized to even be appointed as special counsel. So, Smith, as a private citizen without the proper appointment, shouldn't be acting as special counsel. Now, this whole legal drama also ties into another investigation Jack Smith's leading about the events leading up to the January 6th attack, with Donald Trump claiming that he's totally immune from that probe too. There's a push to get the Supreme Court to quickly decide on his immunity claim, but Trump's lawyers, they're arguing Smith doesn't have the standing to make such a request. According to their motion, Smith cannot request the country's highest court to immediately rule on the immunity argument as he lacks the authority, nor does he have the authority to conduct the underlying prosecution. Those actions, they can be taken only by persons properly appointed as federal officers to properly created federal offices. Neither Smith nor the position of the special counsel under which he purportedly acts meets the criteria. And that is a serious problem for the American rule of law. Whatever one may think of the defendant or the conduct at issue in the underlying prosecution, according to the motion they filed. Meanwhile, Garland and former Attorney General under Trump Bill Barr, they have both pointed to a law that they say gives them the power to appoint special counsels like Jack Smith. Trump, who's eyeing a comeback in the 2024 presidential race, he's labeled these legal battles as politically motivated witch hunts that aim to prevent him winning the next election. And with a trial date set for May, it looks like Trump's legal saga is far from over. I mean, seriously, guys, if there were ever a time to tune into our channel, now would be the time. Don't miss out on any of our future updates that are coming in faster and faster by the day. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell so that you stay informed. And of course, if you really want to show your love for what we do, don't hesitate to light up the like button. It's totally free and it absolutely helps us to get more content out to you guys. I mean, just in our last video, I read a comment coming from a Canadian that says if Trump goes to jail, he's headed to Mexico, crossing the border illegally and voting for Trump. That's the kind of reach that we're getting here on this channel, so let's go ahead and keep it going. Now, for a lot of Americans, it's 100% Trump no matter what. I've read a lot of comments from you guys, many of you saying how it's going to be your third time voting for him and that, yes, you will still vote for Trump even if he's in jail. Now, apart from all of the motions filed against Donald Trump, Jack Smith also recently suffered a setback from the Donald Trump case when one of his key witnesses went public about their cooperation with the authorities. Brian Butler, a former valet, described unknowingly loading boxes of documents onto Trump's plane before the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago in search of presidential records. Lawyer Nima Rami said that it was a setback for special counsel Jack Smith, as Smith had identified Butler only as employee or Trump employee number 5 in court documents so that Trump supporters would not uncover his identity. Ramani also said that Butler's public statements may end up helping Trump's lawyers prepare their defenses. Ramani commented, if you're the prosecution, you generally don't want cooperating witnesses to give statements before the trial because it gives the defense a preview of their testimony and they may say something inconsistent on the witness stand. But see, Smith's hands are basically legally tied here. So Jack Smith can't tell Butler not to talk to the defense or the media. Making a witness unavailable can be an ethics violation. All prosecutors can do is pretty much tell their witnesses that they don't have to talk to anyone, but leave the decision to the witness. Butler, who began working at Mar-a-Lago when he was 19 years old, publicly revealed his identity as Trump employee number 5 during an interview with CNN just a few days ago. He said that he had not spoken to Mar-a-Lago maintenance worker Carlos de Oliveira, who he called his best friend since Butler began cooperating with authorities. De Oliveira and Trump valet Walt Nora, they were indicted and charged with multiple felonies alongside with ex-president last year, both accused of helping move documents and attempting to obstruct an investigation by federal agents. Now, if you think about it, this could all end up being just unnecessary when you consider the real possibility of Trump winning the presidential election in 2024. And this is why legal experts, even though they question the likelihood of Trump succeeding in his plea for presidential immunity, they say that the high court's review sets back Jack Smith's timeline to start a trial before an election and begs the question whether the Attorney General Merrick Garland would or should approve going to trial just before the general election in November. Jonathan Turley, a practicing criminal defense attorney and professor at George Washington University, says the runway for Jack Smith just got a whole lot shorter. From the get-go, Smith's primary fight for the last few months has been to secure a trial before the election. Because if the trial is after the election, there might not even be a trial. Turley said that should a decision come down to the Supreme Court as late as June, between a host of pretrial motions and other procedural elements at the district court level, even if the district court was as motivated as Jack Smith to get a trial scheduled before the election, the earliest a trial could start is in the fall. Plus, Turley noted how the Department of Justice has a long-standing practice of avoiding any prosecutorial action that could be perceived as political within a certain time frame before the election. According to the Justice Manual, federal prosecutors and agents may never select the timing of any action, including investigative steps, criminal charges, or statements for the purpose of affecting any election, or for the purpose of giving an advantage or disadvantage to any candidate or political party. While the DOJ can make timing requests of the court, it's ultimately up to a judge to set the court's calendar. As explained by Turley, the Attorney General has a responsibility to maintain consistent application of departmental policy, and this has nothing to do with the merits. Merrick Garland has been hands-off. He's granted Jack Smith almost total discretion as to the prosecution of the case. But the timing of the case raises questions that remain within the Attorney General's purview. And hey, the Supreme Court could ultimately decide the favor of Trump with regard to presidential immunity. Jim Trusty, former legal counsel for Donald Trump and a former federal prosecutor, explained that there's a strong possibility that the court confirms that immunity protects the president, acting even in the furthest reaches of his responsibilities. That could well be enough to win the day on both January 6th and Mar-a-Lago classified documents cases. In short, a slam dunk and a total win for former President Donald Trump. That pretty much wraps up our discussion today, guys. We've taken a very close look at the unfolding situation with special counsel Jack Smith and the legal challenges that he faces in the case against Trump. But what do you guys think? Does Jack Smith even stand a chance against Trump right now? Drop a comment down below, and let's not forget to like and share this video. I totally appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.